The ultimatum. The holographic display flickered in the dimly lit war room as Commander Elena Reyes studied the incoming transmission. Outside the reinforced windows of Luna Base Alpha, Earth hung like a fragile blue marble against the void of space. For centuries, humanity had dreamed of joining the vast interstellar community. When first contact finally came 50 years ago, those dreams had quickly soured into a nightmare of political subjugation. "Play it again," Reyes ordered, her voice steady despite the gravity of the situation. Her second-in-command, Major Hiroshi Tanaka, nodded silently and reactivated the recorded message. The image of High Counselor Vexthal of the Krell Dominion materialized before them, its insectoid features arranged in what humans had come to recognize as contempt. The translation matrix converted its chittering speech into a flat, emotionless human voice. "Humans of Terra System, your species has been deemed a destabilizing presence in the Orion Arm. Despite multiple warnings, you continue to develop technologies beyond your assigned tier rating. You have violated Protocol 7 of the Non-Proliferation Act by developing quantum entanglement weaponry. The High Council has unanimously voted to enact Containment Protocol. You have 30 Earth rotations to dismantle all orbital defenses and surrender your fleet. Resistance will result in immediate pacification." The message ended, leaving the war room in silence. Reyes looked around at the assembled military and political leaders of Earth's United Defense Force. Their faces reflected a mixture of fear, anger, and grim determination. "Well," President Santiago finally spoke, breaking the silence. "I suppose we should be flattered they consider us such a threat." A nervous chuckle rippled through the room, quickly dying away as the reality of their situation settled in. For decades, humanity had struggled under the restrictive technology tiers imposed by the Galactic Council. Earth had been classified as a Tier 4 civilization, permitted only limited faster-than-light travel and basic energy weapons. Meanwhile, species like the Krell operated with Tier 1 privileges: antimatter weaponry, gravitational manipulation, and planetary shield technology that made their worlds virtually impregnable. "They're lying about the quantum weapons," Dr. Amara Okafor, head of Earth's Defense Research Division, interjected. "We're at least 5 years away from a functioning prototype. This is just a pretext." Reyes nodded. "The real issue is that we've been advancing too quickly through their arbitrary tiers. They expected us to take centuries to develop the technology we've mastered in decades. We're becoming inconvenient. So what are our options?" Santiago asked, looking around the table. Admiral Chen, commander of Earth's modest space fleet, spoke up. "Militarily, we can't win a direct confrontation. The Krell alone outgun us 10-1, and if the entire council joins them..." He left the sentence unfinished. "Surrender isn't an option," Major Tanaka said firmly. "We've all seen what happens to species that submit to containment protocol. They strip the planet of resources, establish oversight colonies, and reduce the native population to glorified servants. We'd lose everything that makes us human." Reyes tapped her fingers on the holographic display, enlarging the tactical map of the solar system. "What about Operation Thunderbolt?" The room fell silent again. Operation Thunderbolt was a desperate contingency plan, one that many had hoped would never need to be implemented. President Santiago's expression darkened. "That's not a decision to be made lightly, Commander." "With respect, Madam President, we're out of options," Reyes replied. "The Krell aren't coming to negotiate. They're coming to subjugate or exterminate us. Thunderbolt gives us a fighting chance." Dr. Okafor cleared her throat. "The Helios array is still experimental. We've only conducted small-scale tests. Deploying it system-wide could have unpredictable consequences, more unpredictable than extinction." Tanaka asked quietly. After hours of debate, the decision was made. Operation Thunderbolt would commence immediately. As the others filed out to begin preparations, President Santiago held Reyes back. "Elena," she said, using the commander's first name for perhaps the first time in their professional relationship, "if this goes wrong..." "I know the risks, Madam President," Rise replied. But the Krell have miscalculated. They think because we're younger and less technologically advanced, we'll be easy to intimidate. They don't understand what they're dealing with. Santiago nodded. Humanity has faced extinction before. Ice ages, plagues, our own nuclear folly. Each time, we've adapted and survived. And we will again, Rice promised. Over the next 3 weeks, Earth mobilized with a speed and unity unprecedented in human history. Old national rivalries were set aside as the planet's best scientists, engineers, and military minds worked around the clock. The Helios Array, a network of satellites equipped with experimental technology that the Council would have classified well above Earth's permitted tier, was deployed throughout the solar system. While the Council believed Earth was working on quantum entanglement weapons, humanity's true technological breakthrough had been carefully hidden from alien observation. Dr. Okafor and her team had discovered a way to manipulate the fundamental forces of the universe in a manner that even the most advanced Council races had overlooked. It wasn't about building bigger weapons. It was about changing the rules of physics themselves within a localized area. 7 days before the Krell deadline, the first wave of their fleet emerged at the edge of the solar system. Massive warships, each capable of reducing a continent to ash, moved into formation around Neptune. They're early, Tanaka observed grimly as they watched the tactical display in the war room. No, Rise replied. They never intended to honor the 30-day window. That was just to keep us passive while they positioned their forces. Earth's modest defense fleet, a few dozen ships equipped with Tier 4 weapons, moved into defensive positions. They were hopelessly outmatched, and everyone knew it. But they weren't the real defense. They were simply buying time. Helios Array status. Rise asked, her voice tense. 97% operational, Dr. Okafor reported. The remaining satellites will be in position within the hour. As the Krell fleet approached Jupiter, they transmitted another message. This time, the alien commander didn't bother with diplomatic pretenses. Your defensive preparations have been noted and classified as non-compliance. Containment protocol has been upgraded to pacification protocol. Surrender immediately or face orbital bombardment of major population centers. President Santiago stepped forward to address the alien transmission. We reject your demands and your authority over Earth. We are prepared to defend ourselves by any means necessary. The alien commander's mandibles clicked in what humans had learned was their equivalent of derisive laughter. With what? Your primitive fleet, your obsolete planetary defenses. You have been monitored, human. We know exactly what you are capable of. Santiago smiled thinly. No, you really don't. As the transmission ended, Rise turned to Dr. Okafor. Activate the Helios Array. Throughout the solar system, hundreds of satellites simultaneously powered up. Their design was deceptively simple, nothing that would have aroused suspicion from Council observers. But their combined effect was about to change the course of human history. Array activated, Dr. Okafor confirmed. Establishing field parameters now. On the tactical display, a wave of energy rippled outward from each satellite, creating an overlapping network that encompassed the space between Mars and Jupiter, precisely where the Krell fleet was now positioned. At first, nothing seemed to happen. Then, one by one, the massive Krell warships began to drift. Their engines flared erratically, then went dark. Weapons systems powered down. Communication signals ceased. What have you done? Admiral Chen asked in awe. Rise watched the display with grim satisfaction. We changed the rules. The Helios Array didn't attack the Krell ships directly. Instead, it altered the fundamental constants of physics within its field of effect. Specifically, it modified how energy could be transferred and transformed, but only for technology operating above Earth's assigned tier level. In simple terms, humanity had created a bubble in space where advanced alien technology simply stopped working, while their own less advanced systems remained operational. All Krell vessels appear to be powerless, Tanaka reported, unable to keep the amazement from his voice. Their auxiliary systems are failing too. Life support is likely the only thing still functioning. Deploy the fleet, Rais ordered. Let's show the Krell what humanity does when backed into a corner. Earth's ships advanced toward the now vulnerable alien armada. What had minutes ago been a hopeless mismatch was now something entirely different, something unprecedented in the history of the Galactic Council. Humanity was about to win its first interstellar battle. The Defiance. The bridge of the UEA's Defiant hummed with tension as Commander Elena Rais watched the tactical display. Earth's modest fleet had surrounded the massive but powerless Krell warships. For 3 days, the alien vessels had drifted helplessly within the Helios field, their advanced technology rendered useless by humanity's desperate innovation. "We're being hailed," Communications Officer Rivera announced. "It's the Krell flagship." Rais nodded. "Put them through." The holographic image of the Krell commander materialized before her, its chitinous exoskeleton dulled by the poor lighting of its backup systems. Even in defeat, the alien maintained its posture of superiority. "This treachery will not stand." The translator rendered its clicks and chirps. "The full might of the Galactic Council will descend upon your world." Ray stepped forward, meeting the alien's compound eyes without flinching. "This isn't treachery, Commander. This is survival. You came to our home system with overwhelming force, intending to subjugate or destroy us, because we developed too quickly for your comfort. We simply refuse to be your victims. You cannot maintain this disruption forever," the Krell insisted. "Your primitive technology cannot sustain such an effort." For the first time since the crisis began, Rais allowed herself a small smile. "Actually, we can. The Helios array is self-sustaining. The more energy your ships try to generate, the more efficiently our field converts it to maintain itself. It's a closed system. Elegant, really." The alien's mandibles clicked rapidly in what humans recognized as agitation. "What are your terms?" "Unconditional withdrawal of all Krell forces from the Sol system," Rais replied without hesitation. "And a binding agreement that Earth will be recognized as a sovereign, independent power outside the Council's tier system." "Impossible," the Krell commander chittered. "No species has ever been permitted to develop outside the established order." "Then congratulations," Rais said coldly. "You get to be the first to witness the exception. We'll provide enough power for your ships to limp home. Spread the word about what happened here." As the transmission ended, Major Tanaka approached her station. "They'll be back," he said quietly. "And not just the Krell. The entire Council will see us as a threat now." "Good," Rais replied. "Maybe fear will accomplish what diplomacy couldn't." The next 4 months transformed Earth's position in the galaxy. As news of the Krell defeat spread, the reaction from the Galactic Council was swift and predictable. Earth was formally denounced as a rogue planet, and all diplomatic relations were severed. Trade embargoes were imposed. Humanity was, in essence, exiled from the galactic community. But something unexpected happened alongside these punitive measures. Representatives from smaller, non-council species began making covert contact with Earth. These were civilizations that had also chafed under the Council's rigid tier system, but lacked the strength or innovation to challenge it. In a secure conference room on Luna Base Alpha, Rais met with delegates from 3 such species: the aquatic Neri, the crystalline Voth, and the gaseous Aetherians. Each brought valuable knowledge and resources to the table. "The Council has dominated interstellar politics for millennia," the Neri ambassador explained, her translucent fins rippling with emotion. "They maintain control by keeping younger species dependent on their technology and divided among themselves. Yet you have achieved what many thought impossible," the Voth representative added, his crystalline form refracting light across the room. "You have forced them to acknowledge an alternative path." President Santiago, who had joined the meeting, leaned forward. "Are you proposing an alliance?" "More than an alliance," the Aetherian delegate whispered, its vaporous form swirling in patterns that indicated excitement. "We propose a new beginning. a coalition of independent worlds that develop and share technology based on merit rather than arbitrary restrictions. The Turin Accord, Rise suggested, the name coming to her suddenly. The alien delegates rippled, crystallized, and swirled in their respective gestures of agreement. While diplomats laid the groundwork for this new interstellar partnership, Earth continued strengthening its defenses. The Helios technology was refined and expanded. Research into previously forbidden areas accelerated. Humanity, freed from the Council's restrictions, began to fulfill its potential. 6 months after the Krell retreat, the expected response finally came. A massive combined fleet of Council forces appeared at the edge of the solar system. Nearly 1,000 ships representing a dozen different species. This is their full strength, Admiral Chen observed grimly as they monitored the approaching armada. They're not taking any chances this time. Ray studied the tactical display. Deploy the enhanced Helios network. Throughout the solar system and beyond, thousands of improved satellites activated. The network now extended far beyond Mars, encompassing nearly the entire system. As the Council fleet entered its range, their ships began to falter. But unlike the Krell before them, they had come prepared. They're deploying countermeasures, Major Tanaka reported urgently. Some of their ships are maintaining power. Dr. Okafor's fingers flew across her console. They've adapted their shield frequencies, adjusting the Helios field now. A tense battle of technological one-upmanship ensued. For every countermeasure the Council forces deployed, Earth scientists made real-time adjustments to the Helios field. Some alien ships broke through temporarily, only to be disabled as the field parameters shifted. We can't keep this up indefinitely, Dr. Okafor warned after several hours. They're learning too quickly. Reyes nodded grimly. Deploy Phase 2. Throughout the solar system, a second network activated, not satellites this time, but ships. Small, stealthy vessels that had been positioned in advance, each carrying a miniaturized version of the Helios technology. While the Council forces focused on countering the main field, these ships maneuvered into position around the alien fleet. Phase 2 deployed, Tanaka confirmed. Localized fields active. On the tactical display, clusters of Council ships suddenly went dark as targeted Helios fields enveloped them. Unlike the system-wide network, these focused fields were too intense for even the most advanced countermeasures to overcome. Now, Rise ordered, bring in our allies. From the outer solar system, a combined fleet of Neri, Voth, and Aetherian ships appeared, not nearly as numerous or massive as the Council forces, but employing technologies that complemented Earth's defense strategy. The Neri vessels released clouds of microscopic robots that interfered with the Council's sensors. Voth crystalline ships projected energy fields that reflected weapons fire back at the attackers. Aetherian craft moved with impossible agility, creating confusion in the enemy formation. The Council fleet, facing unexpected resistance on multiple fronts, began to falter. Their coordinated assault broke down into isolated pockets of resistance that were systematically neutralized by the combined Earth-allied forces. After 3 days of battle, the Council's Supreme Commander requested terms. In the war room of Luna Base Alpha, Rise faced the holographic images of the Council leadership, not just the Krell this time, but representatives of all the major galactic powers. Your victory is temporary, the Draconid Prime Minister stated, his reptilian features set in a scowl. The Council has existed for 50,000 years. We have outlasted countless upstart species. Perhaps, Rise acknowledged. But that era is ending. Earth doesn't want to destroy the Council. We simply refuse to be controlled by it. What are your demands? The Ellerin Chancellor asked, her crystalline voice carrying a note of resignation. Recognition of the Terran Accord as an independent association of sovereign worlds. President Santiago answered, non-interference in our technological development, open trade with any species that wishes to engage with us, and reparations for the unprovoked attacks on our system. The Council representatives exchanged glances. This defies millennia of established order. The Krell High Counselor protested. The order was already broken, Rise replied. It broke the moment you decided that advancement should be determined by age rather than merit. We're offering you peace and coexistence, not as subordinates, but as equals. After hours of tense negotiation, an agreement was reached. The Council, while not recognizing the Terran Accord as an equal body, acknowledged its independence. A demilitarized zone was established between Council space and Accord territory. Trade restrictions were partially lifted. It wasn't perfect, but it was a beginning. As the Council fleet withdrew, Rise stood at the viewport of Luna Base Alpha, gazing at the Earth below. In just a few months, humanity had gone from facing extinction to establishing itself as a new power in the galaxy. What now? Major Tanaka asked, joining her at the viewport. Rise watched as a Neri diplomatic vessel docked with the station, the first of many as the Terran Accord formalized its alliance. Now we build, she said simply. Not just ships and weapons, but something the galaxy hasn't seen before, a community of worlds united by innovation rather than fear. The Council exiled us, thinking it would be our end. Instead, it became our beginning. Beyond the viewport, stars glittered with promise. Humanity had been cast out, only to forge its own dominion among them. And the galaxy would never be the same.